You know that saying where people say something is so fun that it's the most fun you can have besides being in bed? I never really got that saying. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like naps, but I wouldn't say that they're like fun or anything. But I figured out what they're talking about. And it's not napping in bed. It's guns in a truck bed. Now I get it. I was way off. Welcome to Demolition Ranch. This video is long overdue. We have three 50 BMG semi-auto rifles here. And you guys have wanted a comparison for a long time. I've been wanting to do one for a long time. I just haven't done it. And getting this one not too long ago made me go, yeah, let's bring them all out. Let's do this. So we'll start over here. This is the Serbu BFG 50A. This is a Barrett M82A1. This is a Barrett M107A1. So this rifle, this big Barrett here, is the one that I've had on the channel for a really long time, dating back a couple years probably. I have old videos and I used just this gun. And it's a great gun, it works great. Then about a year ago I got this one, the Serbu, and pretty much stuck to just using that. And I'll get to that in a minute, get to why. Then just recently, I got this one, the new version of the Barrett. So let's just start with the features of the old guy, the Barrett M82A1. This gun has been around for a long time, used in the military extensively, is a really good gun. So, takes a box mag, 10 rounds in there, has a big bolt that comes back, and semi-auto means every time you pull the trigger, it fires, and has a giant muzzle brake, which does a pretty good job of not making it kick. If you're shooting a bolt action 50 cal, one that does not come back like this, and one that doesn't have a muzzle brake, it would hurt. It would kick you really hard. This one doesn't kick terribly because it has this muzzle brake, which directs a bunch of the gases backwards, which pulls the front of the gun forward, so not as much as hitting you in the shoulder. Plus, being a semi-auto, some of the force is delayed hitting you. It comes back slowly because that big bolt, it has a really massive heavy bolt, is moving backwards and absorbing that force over time instead of all at once. So it doesn't feel good to shoot the Barrett M82A1. Like, it's not like, that feeling isn't great, but it's not terrible. You can shoot it through a mag and you won't have a sore shoulder the next day. You might have a headache, but it's not bad. One other huge pro for the Barrett M82A1, the old school one, is it just looks awesome. The first time I got my hands on this gun, I was like a little kid. It's just such a cool looking gun. I mean, it's just mean looking. Like, that is just mean. Shooting a giant round. This has a 29-inch barrel, so the gun is monstrous. Let me hold it up for you so you can see how big this thing is. It's just cool. It makes every video look awesome because you're shooting such a huge gun. The problem with shooting such a huge gun is it's heavy and it's bulky, and carrying it around, like the snipers who carry these guns around out in like real world applications, you guys are some hard dudes because that thing's heavy. It weighs 32.7 pounds. Very heavy. And that brings me to the Serbu. And the reason that I started using it almost exclusively on the channel. It weighs 25 pounds, which is like 7.5, almost 8 pounds lighter than the Barrett. 8 pounds in a gun is a lot, and it doesn't sound like a lot. Like, I can lift up this gun and I can lift up this gun because they're only 8 pounds different. But like carrying it around everywhere, it's way more convenient to carry the Serbu around. Like, it makes a big difference. Angled muzzle brake. This one has a very smaller muzzle brake. Both work great. This one though kicks less. And I don't know if that has something to do with the muzzle brake or the recoil system or the butt pad or the weight or everything, but it kicks less. Not a lot less, but a little bit less. It's not as bad as the Barrett. One thing you gun guys will think is cool is their method of operation. So in the Barrett, it uses a blowback system. So bullet fires out of the barrel, and that expanding gas pushes back the bolts, ejecting the shell. Simple as that. The Serbu, on the other hand, uses a direct gas impingement system. You'll notice this gas tube here, just like an AR-15. It's not just like it, it's similar to an AR-15. So fire a bullet out. As the bullet gets here, the gas is redirected into this tube and back here, and then it pushes the bolt back and ejects the shell. Similar, but different, and I think that's pretty interesting. I've never seen a 50 cal with a direct gas impingement system. Never seen anything this big with a direct gas impingement system. It's pretty cool and seems to work just as well as the Barrett works. One major difference between these two guns, and I don't know if it's because of the method of operation or not, but this one is very hard. Both my Barretts are very hard to pull back. They're not hard to pull back, they're just harder. Like for instance, when I'm pushing back right here, you gotta really lean into it to do it. There's a lot of clunking, a lot of noise that they make. This one, since it's lighter and newer, it's even more stiff. You see how it's pulling the entire gun back as I try to rack that, because I'm not holding the gun. The Serbu, on the other hand, is very smooth and very easy to pull back. And there's not a lot of noise. There's no clunking the whole way back. It's just real smooth. Just an interesting difference. After I said that clunking thing, it made me think, I get tons of comments when I have the Serbu. People say that the Barrett makes a more satisfying clunking noise, that racking noise. They like that more. That versus everybody likes that big loud noise, big loud mechanical noise on a Barrett. They think that's cool. I guess it sounds kind of like what you would imagine a big heavy sniper gun like this would sound like. Looks don't matter, right? Don't judge a book by its cover. It's about what's inside that counts. But if I had to say which gun I like more, the Barrett wins hands down. It is just a really, really good looking gun. I think this one looks awesome too. Very cool. But the Barrett just has it. It's just a slick gun. The triggers on these are about the same. A little bit of creep on the Serbu and a little bit of creep on the Barrett. Both of them are not precision competition type triggers. They're meh. The Barrett has a rail going all the way down it, plus flip up iron sights. That is a sight right there at the front. The Serbu just has a small rail here. It does have another small one in the front, so I guess you could put some iron sights there and there if you wanted, but no rail here. But on a gun like this, I'm never gonna have iron sights on it. Probably just gonna have scopes forever and only use that. And there's a little bit of weight saving there because it doesn't have a rail that runs the whole way. Both guns come apart very easily with no tools required, just a cartridge for the Serbu and just your hands for the Barrett. And I'll show you the bolts. The bolt carrier group. There's the Serbus. Here's the Barretts. The Barretts is heavier, a little bit bigger, but pretty close to the same. What is not the same is the recoil spring. This is the Serbu's recoil spring. Pretty long, but look how small it is compared to the Barrett recoil spring. So a big difference. That is a lot of the reason why the Barrett is so much louder when you're racking it back, is this whole spring is compressing down through this tube right here and making quite a bit of noise. The Serbu also has this is in the buttstock of the Serbu. You can kind of hear this. It's like a little hydraulic stop, so the spring comes back and then this will compress at the very end just to help slow it down. It's kind of neat. They both take, the Serbu and the Barretts, take these Barrett box mags, 10 rounds. And which is nice because the same mag will switch between all three of these guns. One huge difference between the Serbu and the Barrett is the way the barrels react. This barrel is fixed. It doesn't move at all when you fire. The Barrett barrel, let me show you, has some springs in here, and when you fire, the gun pulls the barrel backwards. So the barrel actually goes into the gun when you fire it. This is to help eject the spent shell, to help bring in the new round, and this gun doesn't do it. So they say that the Serbu is more accurate because the barrel does not move while firing. That's pretty much all the differences between the Serbu and the Barrett. So now I'm going to show you the differences between the Barrett M82A1 and the Barrett M107A1. I went ahead and took this thing apart just so I could show you something that is different while they're apart. The bolt carrier groups are pretty much the same, but you can tell that the M107 has some silver pieces in it. These are coated. They're just better coatings in this one, and I've heard that some of the parts are titanium that used to be steel in this one. Other changes between the 107 and the 82. Like, what is the reason that I bought an M107 when I didn't need one? I'll admit, I didn't have a great reason. Like, there's not like a game changer here. Like, they didn't do anything just crazy awesome to really make a big difference here. There's just a lot of little things. The main thing that I think is really cool is they shaved like 5 pounds off of it. This one weighs almost 33 pounds. This one weighs like 27 pounds. They took a bunch of pieces that were steel. They made them out of titanium and aluminum now. Like, for instance, this upper is all aluminum. There's titanium in the bipod. The monopod is titanium and plastic. Just a lot of things, and then some in the bolt carrier group. A lot of little things to make it lighter. Also, this one has the 20-inch barrel. It has a short barrel. You can get a short barrel in the 82. You can get a long barrel in the 107. That's just the configuration that these two rifles have, is long 29-inch barrel and short 20-inch barrel here. So I got the 20 in the M107 because I wanted it to be a little bit lighter, so it shaves off another couple pounds. One huge thing that you'll notice is this one has a totally different muzzle brake up front than the old 82A1. This muzzle brake and this gun work really good at dissipating recoil, like ridiculous. We did this thing with Roman called the 50 cal challenge, where we put our toes touching, our feet touching each other, and we shot the 50 from the hip and tried not to take a step.
Ready?
Ready. We tried it again with this gun. This gun doesn't hardly kick you at all. Like, when I was saying that this one isn't terrible, but it doesn't feel good, this one doesn't hurt at all. No pain, no discomfort. You could really shoot this M107 all day long. And it's a lighter rifle, so usually lighter rifles kick more. Not this one, with the muzzle brake, and then apparently there's some other kind of recoil dampening system they have in here. It's amazing. Like, that alone, I didn't realize it was gonna be that big, but that alone made this gun worth it for me. And that's why you probably won't see the M82 out much at all anymore, because this one does everything this one does, but it does it way better. So yeah, the recoil dampening is huge. Shorter barrel, lighter gun, I love it. One thing, it has this cheek rest back here. It's plastic. That one, as you can see, has nothing. That doesn't mean much to me. It's not to be comfortable because it's hard. It's just to keep heat off your face if you shoot a lot and get it hot. I've never got any of these guns hot enough that I felt it in my face. I mean, the fire is going off right here. So for it to get hot all the way back here, you'd have to be burning a lot of 50 BMG, and most people aren't going to be doing that. So I don't know if that's a big deal. Maybe in military applications they were doing that. I think it looks cool. One thing about 50 BMGs is they are expensive. There's no way around that. They're just expensive. And then when you start talking about semi-auto 50 BMGs, they get kind of stupid, kind of crazy. Let's start with the Barrett first. The old tried and true Barrett, the one that's been around forever. I think they used to be around $10,000. Now they're $9,000. This gun's been around for like a decade or two. Now they're around $9,000, which is a lot for a gun. Like a lot. This gun has an MSRP of like $13,500. I didn't pay that much for this one, but they're expensive. I did pay a lot for it. These guns have a lot of new technology. They have a lot of titanium in them, and they're expensive. $13,500 is the MSRP on this exact gun right here. Stupid. Like, you can buy a car for this. You can buy a lot of cars for $13,500. Now, that's where the Serbu comes in. The Serbu is priced well under them. This gun, I think, is $7,500, and that's not even MSRP. Like, you can find it for that price, $7,500, and can do everything that the Barretts can do. It won't look as good doing it. I'll give it that. The Barretts look so good. Look at this gun. Look at that gun. But $7,500 for that gun, and you can play ball with 50 BMG. The scope on the M107. This is a Vortex Razor HD Gen 2. This is the 4.5 by 27 power. Very powerful scope. And it just looks so good. This color is like it's a brown color. And so I think it looks really good with these black rings. So those are pretty neat rings too. So brown, black rings, and then the tan and black gun. I think it just looks super awesome. It has illumination knob here, your focus knob here, big turrets that are easy to adjust. That's pretty much it. That's the bed full of fun that everybody's talking about. I think we should go shoot them now. I mainly need to make sure this thing is on, because I mounted the scope, I went out and like quick sighted in, and then I took to Vegas and shot, and it hit the explosion. Yeah! Just want to make sure that it's good at longer distances as well. We're just shooting, this is cheap ammo. I mean, it's not cheap, it's actually really expensive, but for 50 BMG it's really cheap. So we're not gonna get super accurate shots. We're not making these guns shoot to their potential, but we'll get an idea, make sure it's on target. I have other targets that were rated 50 BMG, but I seem to break them all. This one should not break. Obviously, it's from shootsteel.com. It is AR-500 steel, and it is 3/4 of an inch thick. So, some pretty thick steel. My others were all 1/2 inch. So this is a lot thicker. Obviously, it's held up by some serious chains, and I shouldn't be able to break this. There's not really any moving parts. You know, if I hit a chain, I might break that, but there's nothing to break on this, and you're definitely not gonna get through 3/4 of an inch of AR-500 steel. It's really hard stuff. Plus it's swinging, so it will absorb some of the shot. We're sitting right at 100 yards. You guys see that? This is a Vortex Ranger. It's a Ranger 1500, which means it's good out to 1,500 yards, or maybe meters. I don't know, I can't remember. Really long range, a lot further than I even can shoot, which is nice. Shooting the Serbu first, the BFG-50A. It should be pretty close at 100 yards, but I haven't shot at long range in a while, so we'll see. After turning off the camera, I looked, and my shots were spread out here, so I took one more shot, and it was down here. So I don't know what happened. I must have pulled one off here. But anyway, to have a 50 cal that you can headshot something at 100 yards, I'm pretty happy with that. I need to adjust this, but this is about what you can expect out of the Serbu. That's about 1 inch apart there at 100 yards. Very accurate rifle. Mark Serber will tell you that his rifle is more accurate than the Barrett. I have not compared them side by side. I don't plan to, because I'm not very accurate, as you can see by this. But from what I've experienced, that is a pretty decent group, a pretty average group for the Serbu. Hitting headshots, and barely any dents in this target. This thing is going to last me probably my entire lifetime, probably my kid's lifetime. M82A1 first. I aimed center of mass with the Barrett. I actually aimed right in the inside of this O, and you can see we hit all around there. The Barretts are supposed to have like 1.5 to 2 MOA, so 1.5 to 2 inches at 100 yards. I was a little bit bigger than that, but I'm not a pro at long distance shooting yet. Someday. M107A1. I was really excited because I was aiming right here in the center of the H, and I hit 2 shots right there. Those are like, there's a hit there and a hit there. Those are 3/4 of an inch apart probably. But then my third one dropped down here. So I don't know if that was me or the gun or luck or what, but either way, they're all pretty close to that H. I'm gonna spray paint these. and scoot it on back. We're now at 200 yards. So we'll see how much this thing drops. Instead of walking all the way down there and showing you those hits, let me show you this thing. This is a spotting scope. It is from Vortex. If you can't tell, I hope the wind isn't too bad. I am a Vortex proponent. I really like Vortex stuff. Let me show you. I don't know if this thing will work actually. It's the first time I've ever tried this. Cool. So there is our target down there. You can see those 3 silver hits. That was this 50 BMG. So I was aiming at the first O and I hit a little low on 2 shots and then way off to the right on one. Let's try the M107. It's apparently more accurate. I don't know what they did to make it more accurate, but apparently it's more accurate than the M82. This is M82A1, 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 and this is 107, 107, 107. That actually, I was aiming right there for all of these shots. One of the M107 bullets hit right in that spot, which is a fluke because it should have dropped about this far. So this one is probably the most realistic. It should have probably dropped about like that. Maybe not that much, maybe around here. Over 300 yards now. Let's see what the M107 can do. The first shot, I aimed at the O with the center of the crosshair, and it hit right there. Then I aimed up using the elevation measurements, and we have one outlier up here, but otherwise they're all within about a 1 foot group, which that gun I'm sure is more than capable of doing better than this. But for me, I'm pretty happy. Like, it's windy. I am not the best sniper, and I hit every shot on a man-sized target at 350 yards. It's pretty good. But now, I want to try one more thing. I didn't really think the logistics of this through. Oh my gosh. Three's enough. Whew. Okay, life complete. I want to show you guys how much power the 50 BMG has. There's a little creek right back here. I'm gonna go up on this big boulder and look down and shoot into the water. You can see the big splash coming out of it. Get ready. You ready? Ready? Okay. That's fun. Thanks for watching Demolition Ranch. Demolition Ranch videos are gonna be a little more infrequent than they usually are because I just bought a vet clinic. I'm really tired. Just bought a veterinary clinic and I'm learning how to run a business. But they'll come back. Give me about a month and I'll be back to our weekly schedule. Thanks for watching Demolition Ranch, and now we'll see you next time. Contact! That's a great idea. What about the quad hawk? No, don't move, don't move. Bobby? I'm a doctor. Ish.